What's up with this internet shit? Scrapple TV.
It came from two places. One, it came from my desire to do a sequel to Suburban Love Songs. I felt like my company had created these characters that were so beautiful and so alive and so three-dimensional, and that I didn't want to just leave them alone at their late 30s. I wanted to sort of explore what they looked like a little later on in their lives. And so there was a desire to do that. And then on the sort of downer note, at the same time as I was kind of thinking about that, I was sick and I was home. I was reading a lot of Dante. Ovid, a lot of Ovid. I was reading Ovid. I was reading one Ovid. I wasn't reading a lot of Ovid. I was reading the Metamorphosis. I don't want to say like I was reading other Ovid. I wasn't. And had just lost a couple of people in my life. One right after the other. People died, some close friends. And I started thinking, as I was convalescing, about moving these people ahead 10 years to 1978 and seeing how they dealt with a death at middle age, death of one of their friends, a death of one of their contemporaries. And I love the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice so much. It's so beautiful. He loves her so much that he goes down to hell, to Hades, to get her back. He's so passionately driven to be with his wife. And the idea that love can really conquer anything like this, just pure, passionate love without doubt, this love that is pure faith. So I love that, and it has a really sad ending, but I still love it. And so I played around with the idea in my head, and it took me about a year and a half to sort of coalesce all those ideas and sort of come up with a story. And then the story became taking these characters 10 years ahead, these wacky characters in 1968, and seeing what their lives were like in 1978, after all the crap that happened in the early 70s, after the recession and stagflation and the bicentennial and disco, and overlaying that over the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice and making Hades a disco, so that when Orpheus, Dave, descends into hell, he's descending into a 1978 Studio 54 kind of disco, and that's where that idea came from. That was the past of it. Right now the project is in rehearsal. There's my actors, they're making their way in here. The story has been written, a lot of the choreography has been set. There are still a couple places where we're doing a lot of exploring. We're in the really fun part for me, where I get to get into the rehearsal room with my extraordinary company, and I get to just sort of I give them a framework and they go wild, and they are inspiring and brilliant. So there are frustrating moments for me when I feel like, oh, I should have more here, but mostly there's really joyful moments of watching them and having them make me laugh and following their instincts and just making the piece together as an ensemble. That's where we are right now.
Suburban Love Songs, this sort of overwhelming feeling was one of joy at the end, and I think it was, people had laughed so much that I think in some ways they were just as exhausted as we were.
Right.
And the tone of this piece is a little bit different.
It's a sad piece.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little more somber.
But the bookends are sad,
yeah.
and the piece itself it's goofy and it's funny, and the music, it's funk, it's disco.
I think one of the things that's amazing about Karen and what she does with this piece is she takes a whole bunch of individuals who aren't necessarily dancers and uses their skills to tell her story, and it's something that she's excellent as a director. And the fact that we're using a physical medium is all the more exciting for these comics who are on stage exploring whatever fantasy she's working out in her head.
So it's hard to not be in a good mood when you're listening to it.
Yeah.
And watching people dance. I guess that's more specifically why it's hard not to be in a good mood. But it's sad. It's a sad piece. It's it's about death. So death is sad.
That was the deepest comment you've ever made, Dave Jenica. I hope that makes the edit.
Oh gosh, I hope that they laugh their butts off. I hope that they're a little moved. Maybe the same place I want all my work. I want them to connect to the characters on stage, and I want them to feel like that could be them up there. And I hope that they laugh and have a really good time. And maybe they get just a little sad, because it is about death, and it's just a little bit sad, but in the total framework of comedy. I don't know. I want you to come and see the piece and see for yourself, and then talk to me afterwards and tell me whether you liked it, what you thought. That's what I want.